So that's the transition done. That is, I'll probably put a few thin 1mm fillers here to stop this from flexing. Then I've got 3mm cork. Then I'm going to 5mm Woodland Scenics ballast bed that I still had left over, and then I'll transition to the 6mm XPS foam with the rest of the visible layout will be built on. It's very easy to cut, so I will obviously shape it once the final track design is determined, and also where roads are going to be that meet the level of the track itself. So as I explained just now, I'm raising the level of the track from the storage yard up to the level of this foam XPS style craft foam. You can buy that in various thicknesses and sheets, and my sheet sizes, that is. Mine is 6mm in thickness, and as I explained, I'm doing it to be able to raise the track bed above the level of the adjacent farmlands and everything else that was so typical for the, or is so typical for the northern Netherlands, and you know, helps also with leveling up roads and things like that, and bring some height nuances to the landscape. Even though people think the Netherlands is flat, and it's pretty flat in comparison to other places, it's still not perfectly flat, and the foam helps me achieve that to an extent. And another bonus is a little bit soundproofing as well. So I've pre-cut the first sheets here to the size that I want them to be for now, and I'm going to glue them down. I'm just going to use wood glue. I've determined where the tracks are going to be. In some places even already screw them down here on these two spots. It's still loose here, so we can maneuver the foam from underneath. I'm not going to put glue everywhere unless it's an area that I know it will stay completely level. And the reason for that is how I can cut pieces out and remove them without them being stuck to the baseboard too much. So all I'm going to do for now is just tack them in a couple of locations to avoid them from sliding around when I'm laying the track and doing other work on the top. So let's have a look. So let's move this piece of track out of the way. That is the curve that leads into the station of Roderskol, of which you can see some points right here, laid down loose. Here's a little bit of glue, and we're just going to use normal wood glue. Just pop some down, and I'm going to use a painter's knife, a plaster knife, a plastic cheap one, just to spread it out a little bit, and that's more than enough to tack this down. There we go. And once that's dry, and that should be in about 20 minutes, it's dry enough to work. Even now it's already tacking on, and it's only very light material, so same here. Just going to put some glue down on the surface. First, in this case I'm leaving the entire sheet. I think that's enough. And again, use a plaster knife. Just spread it out nicely on the back. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just enough for it to stop moving out. it over. Flush with the edge. There we go. That's not going to go anywhere. And lastly, we'll do this bit as well. There we go. And again. There we go. Clean the edge up. There we go. And let's pop it down. Lift the track up. There it goes. And now. And as I said, it won't take long and it won't be going anywhere anymore. So the next bit I'm going to do is this sheet where the turnouts are on. But I'm only going to put glue on this back end because I'm absolutely certain that that's where the track will be and it's not going to move. I only need to cut out a small piece to put out the front. I'm not entirely sure yet how I'm going to lay out the landscape. I know at some area here near the beginning of there was a level crossing. So I'm going to have to model that. That's roughly here. And there was some farmland here as well with some other areas of interest. So I'm just going to leave that section unglued for now until I know what I'm doing. I've come up with a final landscaping design in this area. I can always tack it down later on. It's just a matter of because it cuts really easy with a scalpel. Cut a piece out, glue it, apply glue and stick it back down. But I do not want to have the struggle of trying to scrape bits that I've accidentally glued down back up and then trying to have to sand and all sorts of stuff just to make life easier on me. So that's what we're doing next. So let's just put the track out the way for a moment. Here's the sheet. Just going to turn it over for a moment. So this was the back. I'm going to go and apply glue to this back area here where I know the track will be. About there. That's enough. More than enough. And again, use the comb or the knife or the spatula or whatever name you want to give it. Thingy bobs, whatever. Tool. I like thingy bobs. Whatchamacallit. Okay, that's enough now. With that nonsense. Okay, so turn it over. And bring it down in the right location. The only thing I've got to be careful of is that I bring it nicely along the edge of the baseboard that covers the entire area. I had already cut these to size because my baseboard here is 40 centimeters or 400 millimeters wide. So, and the sheets that I bought were 60, so there were sections of 20 to be cut off. But anyway, that's the first couple of boards down. And now I can start planning the track in this area. So it's time to to lay some track. I've glued down the foam board here, and I've straightened out the first piece of flex track. Now what I do to make it nice and straight, because this is a well-maintained line, I'm using a metal ruler from about 1 meter or 3 feet, and carefully lay that alongside the sleepers, or ties in American, of the track that I'm using, so that I get a nice straight line. And it's really worth doing it that way, because as much as you try and eyeball it, if you don't do that, then you'll always find later on slight wobbles in it, which you may see in real life, but don't forget you see that over a much greater distance than you do here at, or in general anyway, than you do in a model. So you've got to be careful not to exaggerate things too much. Now, I am very much against using nails or screws or anything to hold track down, because it's just no matter how you try and disguise them, they'll always be visible, and particularly if you try and make pictures, which I like to do when a scene is finished, they always show up. You don't necessarily pick up on them with the naked eye if you start observing the layout itself, because your eyes are sort of selective, but doing it on pictures are, you know, they're objective. They will show everything that's there. So, and for that reason, taking pictures along the way is a good way of checking on your build, on your results. Because, like I said, you get kind of distracted by the general overview if you model and just look at a scene, whereas a picture will immediately show that maybe a structure isn't flush on the surface and actually kind of floating slightly above because it's not completely level. Things like that show up. So anyway, as I said, no nails, so I use wood glue, but very sparingly. It's enough to just tack it down on this type of surface, certainly the longer lengths. So tack it down. Later on, when ballast bed is applied with the diluted wood glue or whatever it is that you prefer to use, I usually have diluted wood glue or Mod Podge or something like that. It'll bind things together even more. And should you ever want to take it up, it's not too difficult to reuse track in that way. So, how I do it, I don't glue a blob of glue on the surface, because the risk is that you're using too much. So I'm using just a painter's hobby knife or plaster knife. Put a bead on that, like so. Put the glue to one side for a minute. Now, as you can see, I've got the rail laying here. Let me just move the ruler away. I'm just going to lift it up, and I'm going to use a ruler in a minute to straighten things out again, but I'm just going to carefully tack along the center line here. And this is quite strong white glue that I'm using here. Just lay it down for a moment. I need a bit more towards the end here. There we go, a bit more. And again, lifting it up. And drop the flex down. Use my ruler. Oops. go. And just eyeball it as well. Well, as I said, with a ruler that's almost not necessary, but you should see as well in the camera that this is quite level. Could use a little bit of weight on it until the glue sets. And I don't know if you have an Uncle Bob, but usually the way they say that here, Bob's your uncle.